Alright, so today on the YouTube channel, we have the diesel, the 6.0 liter, up front. So the plan is to actually start taking this thing apart today, which this will be my first time taking this all the way down to take it, removing the valve covers, which you can see, this is one of the valve covers here, and the other one is under here also, right here. So there's a lot to remove. I definitely have to do both sides, so I'm going to start with the left side. Of course, like I said, I'm not too sure how far I can get, but I do want to at least start taking apart, you know, this hot intercooled pipe, start removing all the other stuff, and hopefully reaching back and start untorquing the valve cover bolts. I believe they are 10s and 12s, but I'll find it out. I haven't started removing yet. But the reason why we're taking it apart is we're going to be replacing with the upgraded dummy plugs for the 6.0s. Now, for anybody who has this truck or looking to get one, this is one of those things that, you know, was a faulty issue for the 05 to 07 models and should be replaced. What the issue is actually this, the OEM ones did not have this white ring around it. On both sides, you guys could take a look. It was just the rubber O-ring, and what happens over time is the rubber O-ring starts to stretch and starts to fade, and the oil pressure starts to leak out when you're trying to start or crank the truck up, and causes a no start when hot. Now it's getting to the point where my truck has left me stranded a couple times, to where this thing is on its way out quicker than I thought. But with the kit, I do have two stand-up pipes, where I'll show you guys. Once I start taking everything apart, I will go ahead and, you know, show you the differences and what mine looks like. Of course, again, everything is still bolted on, so I will be getting started momentarily. Alright, of course, before you always start doing something with electronics, you always want to take off your battery cable. At least disconnect the ground. That's this one. Oh, whoops. Now this thing's tight as hell. Alright, got that off. Let's move it out the way. I'm going to have to, of course, remove this. Remove my FICM harness. I actually had to remove the FICM itself, which you can see right here. As a FICM, there's a bolt right where my finger is, right here, and there's one in the back. But we'll get to that. I do have to disconnect the oil filter, the transmission fluid hose. I just gotta move it out the way. So there's a few things I have to get to, so let's get started. Alright, so what I'm going to do, since I'm about to take everything apart, I just want to take a picture of everything, just so, because I'm no professional when it comes to these diesels, so just so I have a quick glance to make sure when everything's all connected before I really start pulling out the harness and everything, getting to the valve covers. Alright guys, so things are looking good. I got everything all taken apart. Pretty much every single bolt is all loosened up, hand loosened. I mean, this one's loose, but I just got to loosen up a little more. You know, pretty much they're all followed through. I got every single one. It wasn't as hard as I thought. So I was able to move the harness out the way as much as possible. There's still one cable that goes all the way down under the alternator right here and follows through, and it snakes down there, and I didn't want to unhook that if it wasn't necessary. So I figured I just went ahead and got as far as I could. I think I got far enough. You know, I didn't have to remove the alternator or anything like that. You can see I did move the trans fluid, whatever, stick out the way. So everything's pretty much good to go. I'm going to show you guys once I take everything off. Alright, good news. So everything's all out. The bolts are all out. I can go ahead and take this off. Everything is loose with the gasket under there. So the gasket is reusable. You don't have to worry about replacing it. You know, someone like me who's used to gas motors, you know, the first thing we're thinking about is you take the gasket off, you got to replace. I do want to take a look at it, make sure there's no damages or anything in there, but it should be fine as long as it's all good. I see like some type of mark right there. I will take a look at. But once I get everything off, I should be able to take a look at it and see if it needs one. Most likely it shouldn't. Hopefully it does not. But just take a look at the bolts that we have here. You have these, and you also have a stud style bolt here. The ones that you do not have the other threads on top of it go into the back of the motor. As you can tell with the wall right here, the clearance is not, not as good as long as these. So there's 3 of those, and one short one went in the back. So that's how mine came apart. I was able to tell, like I said, someone has been back there. I do have an EGR delete, so I'm guessing, maybe things were missing or something like that when he first, when he started taking it apart, which happens. Common problem when you buy a used truck. Alright, so if you guys are looking at this, I got the valve cover off. Oh, sorry, I got the valve cover off, and right here is the dummy plug on this side. I started pulling it out just so you guys could tell the difference between this one. So I'll pull this out and I'll see what it looks like, and hopefully this one and the other side is my problems. Alright, so here is the OEM one. Sorry, this is the upgraded one here. As you can see, this is a upgraded one, I'm guessing, unless in 05 they changed it or so. I'm not too sure, but as you can see on this one, it has the white ring on the outside as also, but it also has the white ring on the inside, as this one does not. So I'm not too sure this is an upgraded one from the start, but this should be the issue that causes the hot start and no start. Alright, so we got the assembly all put back together. Today, as you can see, it's a new day. It's bright out there. It's not as wet as it has been. It was raining a little earlier today, but just a light drizzle. But back to the truck. We got the valve cover back on. You can see we're missing a few bolts. I just kind of put them on there snug, just so that, nothing got in there, no water or anything. So I'm going ahead and, seat these bolts down. Of course, there is a correct sequence into installing them. If I'm not mistaken, it starts here, then goes down here, and I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on. That is a sequence. If not, you can definitely look it up on Google. I do have it. I took a picture of that also, just so I didn't get this mistaken. Of course, this is the left side, and over here is the right side. So we're gonna go ahead and finish this bad boy up. I'm still debating on not putting this back together, and then just going ahead and start dismantling my turbo bolts, starting with the V-band, and taking off the intake itself, and the actual the VGT sensor. To start removing things, I'm thinking about it. Excuse me, because either way, if I have to remove the turbo soon, which this turbo is on its last leg, I'm practically already there, because I have to take off all this stuff to get to the other valve cover, which is right in through there, which I don't know if you guys can see the picture right there. So I mean, everything has to come off for this, so I'm thinking about just taking the next step. Alright guys, so I got everything put back together on the left side. I didn't install the intercooler pipe yet. I'm still debating on removing the turbo or not, so I'm going to start removing everything on this side, starting with the intake, the hot side pipe, the plastic one right here, you see right here. I'm going to remove those. I gotta move the coolant lines here and there. I gotta get the actual overflow tank out the way. I'm trying to do this as clean as possible. I don't feel like cleaning up a bunch of coolant over the ground. So I mean, so far I actually made a mistake with this. This is actually the right side of the motor. If you're looking at the sequence or any type of diagram, I apologize. You want to start for the valve cover is down here under the transmission bolt. It's the one that hooks that up, I believe. And then you start going from the top, and then you work your way back and going up, and then come here and then going up, and then go back there and go up, come back here, and then you have the two, one on each side. You could do in between. Other than that, I mean, I want to start her up, but you know, I'd rather just get the whole thing done complete instead of half-assing it. Do both sides, and then hopefully this truck should be good to go. So again, keep you updated, you know, as we go along. Alright, as you can see, I'm just draining all the coolant. It's still a little more, but just draining most of it out of the overflow tank, just so I can move this out the way without it spilling on me when I'm down there, because that's not a good feeling. Alright, so as you can see, it's spilling all over my container, but it's still draining. I mean, I emptied this out and it's still going. So, got more to go, and I can hear it hitting the ground already. Alright guys, here we are. You can see I got the overflow tank taken off. The intake is already removed. The hot side piping, the plastic one, is taken off. Right now I labeled the ECU 1, 2, and 3, which you can see the cables right here. Just in case if I don't get back, you know, soon enough to doing this, everything is pretty much ready to be put back together, and I don't have to do too much looking up on the forums or so. So everything should be all set. I haven't started taking any of the bolts off yet. You can see there's 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5. There should be 2 more under those, and then there's 1 in the back, of course, all the way under there, and then of course you should have the 4 or 5 under here. So just got to repeat the process, which is remove the bolts, taking the head, the valve cover off, you know, just washing everything down. I'm taking my time, because you can see I have like coolant and stuff like this, and oil residue all up on there, so I don't want to get that in my motor. So, you know, I'd rather go slow and clean everything this way. You know, everything is put back together perfectly, and I don't have to remove anything else. As you can see, my turbo right there, which if you haven't shown you in my previous videos, but the reason why this thing needs to be replaced, let's see if I can show you guys. You can hear this noise. Well, yep, that is my turbo bearing in there. That is shot. So I had to replace some turbo. I just haven't, you know, felt the chance, or haven't had the time, or, you know, the thrill of removing this whole thing, you know, because it's not the easiest thing to do. I got a different turbo, which is off of the 03 model, but I'll explain that in a different video once everything starts to get removed and stuff like that.